All right, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Thank you all for joining us. As we typically do, we'll ask that one of the commissioners lead us in an invocation. Tonight, we'd like to ask Commissioner Lance Simpson to lead us in an invocation, please.
If you will join me, please. Lord, as we meet today to conduct matters of county business, we ask that you guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, impartiality, and respect for one another and those we serve. Help us make decisions that are good for all and for your glory, and grant us the humility to always seek your will in all that we do and say. We give our thanks for our military and first responders for their courageous sacrifice to our country and our people. Lord, we ask that you keep and protect these heroes and their families, and that you pour out your blessings on their lives. We humbly ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Yes, tonight we have the opportunity for Miss Nikki Tuttle to come, and she's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Nikki is working through the 4-H organization, and if you'll step up to the podium and lead us, we'd appreciate Nikki. Nikki's dedicated. First time I met her was in Raleigh. She's been to the State Association of County Commissioners, and she's taken the 4-H and elected officials very seriously, and we thank you for your time.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you.
And now I will open public hearing CZ 2017-002 PUD amendments.
Mr. Matthews?
Very much. Chairman, Commissioners, good evening. Tonight you have in front of you a rezoning request. This is a piece of property. It's actually located on Ray Road. You can look at the map here. This is Ray Road as it leads into Mecklenburg County. This is Tom Short. The property is just to this location from the intersection of Tom Short and Ray Road. The swim club, if you remember, was actually rezoned. That was actually on this property right here. I'll give you a point of reference. The Children's Lighthouse daycare is on this piece of property here. It's approximately 8.7 acres total. Originally it was made up of two pieces. I think it's been combined, but it was made up of two pieces of property. If you recall, one portion of this property was de-annexed from Marvin and actually brought into the county's jurisdiction for planning and zoning. What you have here is a piece of property which has a PUD designation from the original PUD, the PUD 6, which included the Somerset development, this property here, which is the old Walmart site. It's not a Walmart anymore, but that's what everyone knows it as, the old Walmart site. And that portion, let's see if I can actually pull up a section here. You can see that there's the original property line was sort of a triangular piece like this. This portion of the property here, and this triangular piece, was part of the PUD, the PUD. It had originally received an approval for a commercial use of a drive-through. Now that could be a bank, it could be a drive-through restaurant, but that was previously approved through the PUD. This portion here was actually brought into the county zoning jurisdiction from that de-annexation from Marvin, and that was zoned B2 by the county commissioners when it was de-annexed and brought into the county's zoning jurisdiction. So you have a piece that is currently B2 under the PUD, as well as a B2 by right portion here. So technically the property actually did not need to be rezoned. However, because this is one project and because the building layouts are different than what would normally have occurred, we were able to convince the developer that it was in their best interest to come forward with a conditional rezoning for the entire site, a CD conditional zoning B2, which encompasses the entire property. and gives the county the ability to treat this as one project and not as this is zoned under the PUD and this is zoned under the straight B2. There are still two decisions that the board will have to make tonight, because this is still part of the PUD at this point. Not tonight, but when you make a decision. There will need to be an amendment to the PUD, that's one decision, and then there will need to be an approval of the B2 conditional zoning application. So it's still two different decisions, but it's going to be treated as one project as far as the process goes. The developer is here tonight. It is a 35,000 square foot commercial project, a mix of retail and office uses. The planning board did hear this request. They offered one additional condition. Planning board recommended that the use be limited to no more than 15,000 square feet of office space. And the planning board members that requested that did not want to see this become 100% office. They felt like because this is a community center that it needed to have retail uses with office and not be completely office. They thought that was important. The developer agreed to that condition. Our uses under the office are fairly consistent, so they felt like they could meet that zoning classification of retail and office. It doesn't prevent the developer from doing 100% retail. They could if they chose to, but it just limits the amount of office that they could do on this site if, of course, that condition moves forward with the board here. Again, as I said, it's zoned, it's 8.7 acres total. Let me kind of go back out just a little bit to the So as I mentioned before, this is what's referred to as the old Walmart site. This is a piece that has some zoning classifications on it for a community center, which is a rather large facility. It's over 200,000 square feet of office and retail. What you don't see here, and the plans don't show it, is there are plans for a traffic signal approximately in this area right here, which will serve this site and ultimately would serve this property as well. If you go back to the diagram here, it's approximately lined up to where this this driveway is right here. That's the approximate location for where that signal would be. And that actually makes sense. Right now, as you can see, this would be a median divided facility for Ray Road. Again, if that signal's put in, it would be a full access movement for this site as well as this site. What this also provides is the Children Lighthouse property, which is this. It would provide them with an access to that signal because they actually have connectivity here as well. Again, that's part of our planning process, is to have some type of connectivity. So from the staff perspective, we feel like this meets our comprehensive plan. Planning board met. They recommended approval of this with the one condition that I have laid out for the commissioners. I will be happy to answer any questions you might have, but the developers are here tonight, and I do think they would like to give you a little bit of a presentation on this. I'll turn their portion on here. Thank you. If you have questions, I'll answer them.
Thank you. We'll hear from the developer and then address any questions.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Steve Vermillion with MPV Properties out of Charlotte. Just to give you a little bit of background on us, myself and my partners were very involved in the development on Blakeney, the office space in Blakeney, as well as the Stonecrest retail development. Just wanted to at least show you tonight, this is at least a rendering of what we would intend to build on the property. As you can see, to the left portion of the site, those are single-story buildings, and the right building would be a two-story building. We added the brick in the right corner to the drawings because we felt like the existing rendering, it gave you a little bit of impression that we were doing concrete block, just to give you what we do intend to use, which would be a brick material there. Would tell you that we have done the TIA on the light, and are working with NCDOT currently. The only issue about our putting in the light was for them to approve ultimately the TIA, which has indicated that our development would require the light. We intend to install that light as part of our development, tie those two access points into, or the access point into the access point across the street, which is the site that Harris Teeter owns, as I'm sure you're aware. I think Brian covered everything else. We've agreed to for this to be a conditional zoning, so we'd have to build it as shown on the site plan, and as you see on the rendering, given that it is a conditional plan. Given that it is zoned, we would love for you to consider, if you would, adding it to the agenda tonight and considering to vote on it tonight. But obviously, if not, we wait till the 15th. But given that it is currently zoned, we'd love for you to do that if you don't mind. Be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions, gentlemen? I don't believe so. Thank you much. All right, and there is no one signed up for that public hearing, therefore I will close that public hearing. That will take us to item number 4, public hearing for Project Draco, Griner Bio 1 North America for Step 2 Economic Development Incentive Grant in the amount not to exceed $223,100 over a 5-year period.
And Ron with Economic Development is here to present.
All right.
Chairman Akins, Commissioners, Manager Koto, it's my pleasure to bring before you tonight the Economic Development Incentive Grant request by Griner Bio 1 North America, previously referred to as Project Draco. Griner Bio 1 has been in the Monroe Corporate Center since the year 2000 and it currently employs over 300 people. The company, headquartered in Austria, manufactures plastic injection molded products for the medical laboratory industry. In addition to Monroe, they have production facilities throughout Europe, South America, and Asia. The company is considering Union County for an investment in new manufacturing equipment to meet increased demand for its product on a global basis. If Union County is selected, the anticipated new taxable investment in equipment would be up to $9,700,000, and the project also expects to create roughly 10 new jobs. The company approached our office about the potential investment in February of this year. They have indicated that incentives are a very important factor for their project. Union County is in competition for this expansion with other corporate production locations throughout South America and Asia. Tonight, we're requesting for your consideration. We are requesting your consideration for a Step 2 Economic Development Incentive Grant valued at $223,100 to be paid over 5 years based upon appraised value each year as appraised by the Union County Tax Administration Office. The grant is based on the company's projected total investment of $9,700,000 in equipment and machinery over the grant period. Based on this potential investment in Union County, the current tax rate, and assuming a consistent assessed value with no depreciation, the company will pay estimated ad valorem taxes on the new taxable investment of $371,752 over the grant period. Of course, actual tax revenue to the county will be based on the assessed value of the investment each year, depending upon depreciation schedule and timing of the investments. This project achieves a cost-benefit analysis ratio of 1.43 to 1 over the first 5 years of the project, and achieves a 15.1 to 1 ratio over the life of the project. We presented this project to the Monroe Union County Economic Development Board of Advisors at their April 11th meeting. They recommended we bring this opportunity to you tonight for your consideration. We will also bring the project to the Monroe City Council tomorrow night, requesting a similar economic development grant. Therefore, the Monroe Union County Economic Development staff recommends the award of this Step 2 performance-based economic development incentive grant to Griner Bio 1 not to exceed $223,100 over a 5-year period beginning in fiscal year 2019. At this time, I'd like to recognize Mr. Rick McGinnis, Executive Vice President of Finance at Grindr Bio One, who, Rick, is available to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Ron. Any questions, gentlemen? Comments, concerns? All right. Thank you very much. We don't have anyone signed up for that public hearing, and therefore I will close that public hearing. That will take us to informal comments, of which we have no one signed up. Therefore, we'll move on to the additions, deletions, and/or adoption of the agenda. I will ask that on item number 12, we do add the attached CPO number 198 in the action item on that item. So if you'll, you have that there in front of you, so if you'll add that to number 12, please. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, do we need to add any of those items? We've got the rezoning. Can we discuss that tonight?
If you'd like to make a motion, I'll certainly entertain it.
Motion to add the rezoning issue on railroads.
We will add that as, give me just a second. We'll add that as, we have new business here. We will make that item number 17A under new business. Would that be correct? I'm sorry, 19A under new business. There we go. And I will now entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion. Go ahead, Stone. Motion to adopt agenda as amended.
All right. All in favor of adopting the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. That'll take us to the consent agenda. And I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent.
Motion to approve consent as amended.
All right. All in favor of approving the consent agenda as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. That will take us to item number 19A.
I believe number 18.
Pardon?
Number 18.
Yeah, I can't read tonight. How about item number 18 under old business?
Yes, Chairman and Commissioners, this item was before you at your last meeting. You had requested a number of answers from the Union County Public Schools as it related to this request. I received that information last Wednesday, I believe that was the 27th, and forwarded on to the board. I have no further comments on this issue, but we have representation here from the Board of Education.
All right.
I have some information for each of you on.
You'll hand it to Michelle there.
There's a bunch of
Thank you.
It's a little short spreadsheet explanation of what happened with the roofing projects for Porter Ridge Elementary and Unionville Elementary. If you start with Porter Ridge Elementary School, the original budget was $350,000. On January 19, 2016, Melissa came in front of the Board of County Commissioners and asked for additional approval of $160,650, bringing the total county approved amount to $510,650. That was the roofing bid. What it was missing is the consulting fees and the design fees that go with that project. So when the Board of Education and the Facilities Committee came in front of you all back in January of 2016, Don Hughes had left off the consulting fees. And typically the consulting fees are included with the budget, are included in the budget. So they were included in the original budget, but when we came back for additional funds, they were subtracted instead of added. Somebody caught it at the last minute, but just added the initial amount back, didn't re-add the fees back in. So that's what it is. It's consulting fees, not just design fees. Consulting fees include everything to do with construction management on the roof, the design of the roof, the, any approvals that they need to get for the roof, things like that. Those get paid out of that. And typically, all of that is bundled together in our budget and everything that we ask for from the county commissioners. And that didn't happen in these two cases. And then, so the consulting fees for Porter Ridge were $26,000. But we had unused contingencies from the roofing contract that would deduct from how much is still owed on those amounts.
All right.
And I can walk you through the same thing with
I
union buildings.
think we've got it right here, so I
Okay.
think that's very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And nobody really knows why or how it got left off. Don Hughes prepared it over the Christmas holiday of that year to give to the Board of Education on January 5th, and nobody checked his work, and that's how it came out. And it was discovered later on that the money was missing. And when we went to pay it, we forwarded the bills for reimbursement to the county, and they came back saying that there wasn't enough money left in those accounts, because again, we had only asked for the 510, 650. We had left out the other.
And I trust you now have a safety measure in place to make sure that doesn't happen go forward.
We do.
Okay?
So what's important to know tonight versus the prior two times that we've come before you on this is the bills have been paid. These design fees have been paid out of our general account ledger. And so what has happened is that's in the negative now until we get reimbursed from you. So that's why we're here tonight. But, you know, as opposed to what we communicated the first two times, what we have discovered in tracking down POs and invoices is that these bills have been paid.
And they come in at different times. Like the consulting fee doesn't get paid all at the end of the process, just like the construction bill doesn't get paid at the